Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's me, Clayton. I just got out of seeing the most recent My Little Pony episode, Not Asking for Trouble, which is written by a new writer, May Chan. And I've never met her or seen of her before, but she seems to really get the show's humor and the show's overall tone, even if the message in this episode is something we've already seen before. But let's get to the review, shall we? This episode is about Pinkie Pie when she goes to Yakistan. Yes, we actually see how Yakistan looks in this episode, unlike in Party Pooped, where she meets up once again with Prince Rutherford and the Yaks for some sort of celebration. Things end up going well at first until an avalanche takes out the entire Yak village, and initially Pinkie Pie thinks of the logical solution of just asking Twilight and her friends to help out the Yaks, but the Yaks are way too stubborn and prideful to accept their help. And it's pretty obvious what the moral lesson of this episode is: to ask for help and not to be as stubborn as you can be. Now, not only was this message handled a bit better all the way back in episode 3, Applebuck season, but even though it is in character for the Yaks, it feels like it's just redundant because it feels like it's just the writers repeating themselves. I don't know if May Chan ever saw Applebuck season or any of the early seasons of My Little Pony, but I think someone should be able to keep tabs on how many times a certain lesson has been taught at some point in the series. Don't get me wrong, the episode is funny, and it certainly has its interesting moments, but it isn't the most original episode in the world. And that's not just because it's the return of characters that the fandom at large hasn't really liked, myself included. The Yaks are a bit more likable here simply because they don't demand that things are perfect, and simply because they don't declare war on the ponies. Yeah, that was way over the top in a way that didn't mesh well with the episode at all. The Yaks still aren't the most likable characters, but you can at least understand them a bit more in this episode, and they do show a bit more characterization, even if they still speak in a way that the Incredible Hulk does. But after a while that gets sort of funny, especially once Pinkie Pie starts getting into it. Now, I understand that a series this long could have a tendency to repeat itself. I mean, whenever you have a long-running series, you might end up repeating yourself after you go for over 100 episodes. It's very difficult not to repeat yourself. But there are a couple of messages in this episode that I've seen, go through more than once, where it feels like the writers are just reaching for new ideas and not coming up with anything. That isn't to say that there isn't a lot of fun to be had in this episode. Pinkie Pie's antics are as funny as ever. Prince Rutherford does get a few laughs, and Pinkie Pie probably has the best game of 2 million questions, or 20 million questions that she has with Gummy. Though, to be honest, I have no idea how long going through 20 million questions would be, even if you were on a hot air balloon and going very, very slowly to a new location. That would probably take hours, if not days on end, to complete, even if you're incredibly quick with your questions like Pinkie Pie is. Andrea Libman, of course, does her best with Pinkie Pie's material, and it's clear that the writer knows how to handle her sense of humor. Even if the jokes don't land, they're so fast-paced that you don't really care. So if one joke doesn't work, it doesn't matter. The next second comes by and there's another joke that either is funny or it makes you forget about the joke that wasn't funny. That's how you can work through a script if it isn't the best. You can make it so fast-paced that you don't have a lot of time to think about the joke. Even when Pinkie Pie acknowledges that some of her jokes really aren't that funny, such as a sandwich that's literally made out of sand. I'll admit, the comedy as well as the animation did raise the episode's bar for me, because despite the fact that the Yaks still aren't the most likable characters, and the fact that the message has been done before, this is still a fun episode, especially if you're a Pinkie Pie fan. So I give this episode a 7.5 out of 10. See you next time.